I'm bored, I miss Disneyland, and I need to make a video. But what do I make a video about? Yeah, that'll do. Oh man, if you think Disney is scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas these days, you should have just seen what they were doing back in 1955 when Disneyland first opened. Now I'm sure a lot of you know this, but the last year of construction on Disneyland was also the first year of construction on Disneyland. They built the whole park in just over a year. And by just over a year, I mean exactly 366 days later. And for the most part, the park was coming along very well. You had a number of classic Fantasyland dark rides. You could experience all of Davy Crockett Frontierland, ride a horse-drawn trolley down the middle of Main Street, USA, and take a cruise down Jungle Rivers. But when it came to one of Walt Disney's most ambitious lands in the park, there wasn't a whole lot to do. That, of course, being Tomorrowland. While it was supposed to be a glimpse into the fun and fantastical world of the future, it ended up being more of a corporate showcase, much to Walt Disney's dismay. Tomorrowland really only contained 2 or 3 actual rides on opening day, those being Autopia, Rocket to the Moon, and of course the Phantom Boats, which we might talk about in a future episode because those are really weird. And I know what you're thinking, the name implies ghosts jumping out at you as you drive your boat down the river, and that's not what happened, unfortunately. The rest of the land, like I said, was more of a corporate showcase, featuring the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry, the Timex Clock of the World, and the focus of today's video, the Kaiser Aluminum Hall of Fame. And of course, the Bathroom of Tomorrow. I mean, who could forget? Now everyone, please try to contain your excitement. I know the Aluminum Hall of Fame sounds like the best opening day e-ticket attraction, but it was kind of lackluster, honestly. This was one of Disneyland's last attractions finished before opening day, being completed just 2 days before the park opened. It really goes to show you how much of a last-minute scramble everything really was. The building that today houses Star Tours used to house a self-guided walkthrough exhibit showcasing the history of aluminum products past, present, and future. Now I know this all kinda sounds a little bit boring, but just wait for it, there's a huge reveal later on. As the attraction began, guests started learning about the wonders of aluminum. They were able to sign a guest book, and the pen was made out of course, plastic. No, I'm just kidding, aluminum. On display, guests would find the Kaiser aluminum pig, nicknamed Cap, because K-A-P. By pressing different buttons and pulling different levers, guests were able to flatten Cap. You were also able to make him light as a feather, round as a pole, strong as an ox, twisted like yarn, or colored like a rainbow. These are just quotes I'm reading. I don't know what any of this actually means, mind you. I'm assuming people were able to interact with the aluminum statue by pressing different buttons, showing how resilient and I guess moldable aluminum was? It truly was the world of the future. Although for all I know, back in 1955 this could have been revolutionary stuff, could have been blowing people's minds, but today, we just use it to cover up cookies from the day before. Okay, there's a lot more practical uses for aluminum, but you know what I'm trying to say. If Tomorrowland opened a walkthrough exhibit on aerogel today, I don't think too many people would be very excited about it. Oh, wait a second, that actually sounds kinda cool. Hold on. Was the Kaiser Aluminum Hall of Fame actually really cool back then? If you think Cap is really cool, hold on to your pants because we're not even halfway through the exhibit. This attraction had a series of walkways filled with various aluminum sculptures, appliances, and showcases, showing the different uses and applications for this new up-and-coming magic metal. One of these sculptures happened to be a polished 40-foot tall telescope, one that may look familiar to Disneyland fans. We'll talk about that one a little later on. Near the end of the attraction, you would arrive at the 2 highlights, the 2 show-stopping exhibits that everyone had to see when you visited Disneyland, and that was the Time Sphere, and of course, the brightest star in the world of metals. What a name. We'll start with the cooler sounding one. The Time Sphere was a massive aluminum ball with projected images of ancient knights, 1950s firemen, and the imagined futuristic spacemen all proudly using or wearing aluminum. I guess you could call it the earliest known instance of Disney trying to test 2.5D technology, before using it in Runaway Railway more than 60 years later. The brightest star in the world of metals was a glowing multi-pointed star that hung high overhead. Inside the star was the image of the Roman goddess Venus, the historic symbol of beauty, this time recreated in a futuristic setting to represent the welding of art and industry and the inherent beauty and futuristic application of aluminum. Did you get all that? So, you know, if the Orange County Museum of Art, which wouldn't open for another 7 years, was full, you could just go to Tomorrowland at Disneyland and look at some aluminum sculptures. Kaiser, the sponsor for the walkthrough, had convinced Walt Disney that aluminum was truly going to be the metal of the future, and so Walt had his Autopia cars made with aluminum bumpers. And if you've ever handled aluminum in your life, even if it's not the foil kind, you know that this was a bad idea. With the amount of children and grown adults crashing into each other on this ride, the bumpers began to crumble upon impact, so they were replaced with a stronger type of metal. Now back to the telescope. If you remember earlier, the 40-foot tall aluminum telescope was one of the highlights of the exhibit. In fact, it was so popular that when Kaiser decided to pull their sponsorship for the exhibit, when the newest dark ride for Tomorrowland was being developed in the same area that was once occupied by the Aluminum Hall of Fame, it was decided that an homage, or maybe even a quick reskinning of the aluminum telescope was in order. Renamed the Mighty Microscope, it became sort of the flagship icon of Tomorrowland and its new signature attraction, Adventure Through Inner Space. Narrated by Paul Frees, who you may recognize as the ghost host from the Haunted Mansion. The Mighty Microscope would eventually be lost to time and maybe today sitting in a Disney warehouse somewhere or in a garbage bin, but guests were able to spot the microscope in the newly opened Star Tours attraction in 1987, which unfortunately replaced Adventure Through Inner Space. What a shame. The microscope can be spotted again in Star Tours The Adventures Continue, which is there today, as you're leaving the hangar of the Star Destroyer. If you get the Darth Vader beginning, it's different every time really, but you can still see the microscope today at Disneyland. Or you would be able to see it even better if they brought back Adventure Through Inner Space, because Star Tours is now outdated and there's an entire land dedicated to Star Wars. Getting off track. The Kaiser Company tried to get out of their contract by as early as October of 1957 because they felt the popular weekly Disneyland show was selling commercial time to competitive sponsors. But Walt convinced them to stay until 1960, when they did pull out of the contract and the Hall of Aluminum Fame was closed forever. Most of the building that housed the Hall of Fame was used for the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry now, before it was replaced by Adventure Through Inner Space, then Star Tours The Adventures Continue, which remains there to this day. Again, unfortunately. Guys, I promise, I love Star Wars, I just hate Star Tours, okay? So guys, let me ask you, do you remember the Kaiser Aluminum Hall of Fame? And if you do, what was your favorite part of the walkthrough exhibit? I, of course, never got to see it, but man, if Disney has that Cap statue still lying around somewhere, I would very much enjoy seeing that. And remember everyone, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, shining because aluminum reflects light very well, and it can kind of hurt your eyes if you look at it for too long. So make sure to wear sunglasses when you go into the Aluminum Hall of Fame. Can someone please tell me why I made this video again? Hi everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to put out some more history-focused videos, just some quick ones that you guys can really digest easily. Some videos about weirder Disneyland things that I don't think a lot of other people talk about, so just stay tuned for even more just abandoned, lost Disneyland and Walt Disney World attractions. You see right now on the screen scrolling are my Patreon patrons. If you're interested in joining this list of wonderful people and getting some perks for early episode audios and other things, head over to the link in the description down below, and even just $1 will get you access to early episodes, maybe even the full video early, half a video early, or the audio recordings if you want to listen to those. So thank you again to all of my Patreon patrons. Everyone hang in there. Hopefully Disneyland's going to be opening soon. I just want them to make sure it's safe, you know, so definitely aching to get back to Disneyland right now. And if you can't tell with that, I was trying to fill time so all of my lovely Patreon patrons' names could scroll past, but that's over now. I will see you guys all in the next video, of course. Goodbye.